Greetings. I'm putting together a video for Harley riders wanting to upgrade your bike portraits. And that's in the event that some of your best Harley portraits are just as embarrassing as mine are. It's amazing how many photos I've taken in my life and how many places I've been. I'm basically a world traveler and have been for, 2.5 decades. And I don't have any good pictures of my bike. So, I just looked through some of my bike shots, and these are bike photos that I send to people. I put them in a certain folder in my cell phone. I didn't look through, hundreds of pictures of a bike. You can see I have a Harley Ultra. And the top left photo is kind of an artsy looking thing. Took that after a photo. It's just really colorful scene there at night, with all the different lights downtown Akron. And on the right side, the lower two pictures are concerts. Akron has some really, really good concerts during the summer. And, bike parking is in the street right outside of the venue. So it's a great place to go on a motorcycle. And, the top two photos on the right, it's just, I did a conversion kit on mine to take the, a quick detach kit for the tour pack, and I didn't follow the Harley design for this bike. I cleaned up the back fender quite a bit, made it look more like a street glide with a license plate underneath a light, and looks pretty nice back there compared to most conversions in the same year. The newer ones look really good also. But these two top pictures here I send like to girls to show, how flexible the bike is, and to show ladies overseas, mostly Asian ladies, how our bikes differ from the motorbikes of Asia. Quite a difference. But there's a bike in the center here with or a photo in the center with my bike in a parking lot. So how lame can you get? And the one to the left of that is in my driveway. I have a 3-lane wide driveway, and a cemetery. These are really some of the best pictures that I have, and they're just not very good photos. So that's what I wanted to change. So if you want to see some really decent pictures of Harleys, one thing you should do this whether or not you want to take pictures or not, is if you have a Facebook account, join some Harley Davidson groups, because there's, like the first one here, Harley Davidson touring group. There's 77,000 members, so there's hundreds of people online at any given time, or maybe 1,000. So if you have an issue with your bike, or you're stuck somewhere, or you can post a question to the group here, and there'll be people answering immediately. So it's really nice for that. Plus, if you wanted to look up some good photos, if you're not in a Harley group, or you haven't done groups yet, there's a blue icon that shows multiple people there, kind of a little icon for people. And if you click on that, you'll see the Facebook groups come up. And if you click on the magnifying glass, you'll get some fields below to do searches. So there's some search criteria you can put in there, and you can look for Harley groups. You'll get Harley Quinn also, but most of it will be Harley Davidson. And some of these groups have really good pictures for their group photo. And there's also a lot of groups like the second one here, Electric Glide Ultra Classic Owners Group. The moderator of that group, or admin, will post a question to members and say, hey, it's time to upgrade our group photo. Send in some good pictures of your bike. And if you happen to see that kind of a posting, or if you can search for it too, maybe upgrade group photo, like Harley group photo, and you can see a lot of people sending in pictures. And some of them are lame, like me, your bike in a parking lot or your bike in your driveway, but some of them are really good. Then on this next page, this is just Google. If you look up Harley and scenic, you'll get a bunch of really nice pictures. So, I ride a touring bike now. I've been cross country many times, and I haven't always owned a Harley, like most Harley owners. But I own a Harley touring group, or touring bike now, so I can ride across country. And there's a lot of really great pictures that you can see with scenic. There's a Grand Canyon picture on the bottom. There's a couple of pictures that might be the Colorado Rockies. And these are really, really good photos. This is the kind of photo I want of my bike. So that's why I'm upgrading from my driveway and parking lot pics. So we don't have the Rocky Mountains in Ohio. We don't have any mountains in Ohio, but we do have this big ass lake, and the big ass lake has a zillion beaches. Now, if you Google Cleveland and or Lake Erie, and go to maps and then do a satellite view, you're going to be looking at the photo on the right, a satellite view of the North Coast, basically. Then in the search criteria, if you put in Lake Erie Beach, Ohio, you should see a bunch of beaches, and there's a boatload of beaches. And right now there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's maybe 12, 15 beaches. And then if you zoom in, you'll see more. You'll see beaches in between the beaches. So there's really a zillion beaches along the lake. The northern part, the northern coast of Lake Erie is kind of equally divided between homes. A lot of people have a home on the lake, or beaches on the lake. Sometimes people have their own beaches, private beaches. And if you look at like Avon, there's a lot of millionaire houses that big houses that are bigger than mine and sitting on the lake and have a great view of the lake. But it's equally divided between beaches and private property. And some of the beaches are private too. But if you look this up and take a look at the images along the left side of the screen, you can see all the beaches are listed here by name. Then if you right click on some of these, you can open up a screen of that beach. So that's what I did for a bunch of beaches here. So I probably got all the major beaches that are public. That's what I was shooting for. And you can see when you open up a screen on the right, you can you can scroll all the way to the top and get some information about the beach, or about the park. But as you start scrolling down the screen, you'll see where people contributed pictures. So for example, the one on the lower right, you can see a nice big sandy beach here. This is Walnut Beach Park. And when you click on the screen, you can also see that red dot illuminate before you open up a new session, so you can find out where the beach is. But it's nice to go scroll that back and forth, or up and down through the photos to see what the actual beach looks like. And a lot of these beaches, I didn't realize we had such great looking beaches. I mean, some of these look like they're, on the East Coast, Virginia or Carolinas or even Florida. So some really nice looking beaches out there. But this will give you an idea of what the beach looks like. That's not all you want to know. If you want a photo of your bike with a beach, you have to know if you can get your bike on the beach or near it. So here's a couple of the screens that I enlarge, and just a couple to show you for an example. Lake Erie Shores Beach Pavilion, and you can see that somebody added some sunset pictures here. So that tells you that it's a western facing beach. You can get a sunset picture. If you look at the shape of Ohio, it really goes up diagonally on the east side of Cleveland, or just the east side, we say. If you're from Ohio, if you're from Northeast Ohio, you call Cleveland and the east side and the west side. That includes all the suburbs going all the way up the coast. I wouldn't say that Sandusky is a suburb of Cleveland, but Amherst would be. So it's just communities, east side, west side. People from Ohio know what you're talking about. But these are, if you look at the east side, the shape of the state slopes upwards so much going east that there's a lot of beaches that are going to have a nice western facing sunset view. It'd be like, Lake Michigan and the west side of Michigan. So another thing you want to do is click on the name of the beach and just zoom in on the satellite view to check and see what the parking's like at that beach, because people don't tend to take pictures of parking lots. So this will tell you, hey, can I get near the beach, and would it make a good shot? So here's a couple beaches. This is got to get closer here. Headlands Beach State Park on the left, and you can see it's a massive beach. It's really big. I mean, it's like Daytona Beach big, and it's got a lot of parking, and the parking areas have a tree line between the beach and the parking areas, so it looks nice from the beach. But there's also some openings where you can park a bike and get some nice shots of the water, it looks like. Now, I haven't been to this beach yet. This is one that, at first I would like to bounce it off some other people and see if somebody's been here and whether it's a good opportunity for photos. The one on the right is another beach that I noticed where it's a swimming beach, and it's really nice. It doesn't, this is zoomed out pretty far, but if you zoom in, you see some really nice sand beach here that goes on for a few hundred yards. And it also has parking really close to Lake Erie, which is what I'm looking for a photo op. Now, I did go here. This is Port Clinton, and this is like the furthest away beach that I wanted to go to. And here's another couple of beaches on the left. You can see this is Catawba Island, which is basically in the Port Clinton area, and it has 2 state parks on the island. And the island is, it's not like Kelly's Island or North Bass, Middle Bass, South Bass Island. There's a lot of islands in Lake Erie. It's not one that you have to take a ferry to. You just ride across a bridge. So Catawba Island is, it's easy to get to. And it has a state park. This is the Catawba Island State Park, which is on the west side, which they call it a state park, but it's really nothing but a parking lot and a boat launch. That's all there is to the park here. And I chose it because I thought it would be a good photo opportunity for a sunset picture. You can see if you can get near that boat ramp area, you've got a western facing beach, and that's also an open to the public swimming area on that beach. On the right is, I got to get close again here, Walnut Beach Park. So this is another east side beach that, if you look at the parking lot on the upper right, cars are really close to the shore, and then you have a pretty long beach. So this is another possibility. I haven't been there yet either. Now, if you're gonna, get better shots of your bike, then you should do some practicing with a couple of cameras. So I had a smartphone camera, I have a GoPro on the bike, and I have also a Nikon point and shoot with a pop-up flash. So what I'm doing here, this is an area near my house where there's a reservoir going across the road, and the reservoir usually lines up with the sun, the setting sun. You get a sun that's across the whole reservoir. But this is a boring night. As the night went on here, I went from a blue sky to a white sky, and just there wasn't much of a sunset. But what I'm testing here is the flash. So this road, this is a new bridge that was put in, I don't know when, but it's not that far from my house. It's on the way to a winery that I go to often, except for not in 2020. So this is a new bridge. It was just finished a couple months ago, and it's pretty wide here, the road. The lane is maybe 15 feet wide, so you can get far away from your bike. And I'm just testing how far the flash goes, to take a bunch of pictures from different distances and not zooming, just walking back and forth and taking different pictures so I can see how far the flash goes. So the smartphone goes about 10 or 12 feet is the max that you can use for a smartphone flash. I have a Google Pixel. It's supposed to have an elite camera. And then the Nikon goes to about 20 feet because it's a pop-up flash, but it's not that big of a flash. So this is something that you have to determine with your camera, because you don't want to get to a place and then experiment then. Know your cameras and your flashes a little bit ahead of time, because if you're going to be taking a picture of your bike with a lake in the background, like Lake Erie, or a sunset in the background, both are very bright environments, and you can consider them both to be backlit, because it's so bright on the lake. So, in backlit situations, if you have a subject, you'll always want to use a fill flash. If the subject is a sunset, then you don't need a fill flash. But if you're taking a picture of a portrait, you've probably seen a zillion pictures of people with the sun in the background, thinking they're going to get a good shot and doing a selfie, and their face is all dark because the sky is so bright behind them. That's why you always need a flash. So I think there's a picture missing here. September 25th through 27th, really late in the year. It's in the 80s, basically 77 to 79 degrees. Actually, it's 81 degrees, depending on what day you captured the temperatures, but very, very warm for being very late in September. And not only that, the temperature is even till 9 o'clock. Sunset now, we're talking about like 7:15-ish, and it's getting earlier a couple minutes every day. But 9 p.m. we're talking temperatures of 70 degrees. So you can go up to Lake Erie, get some nice pictures of your bike, or you could on this weekend. Now this is the first day of October, second day of October now, and it's cooled off quite a bit. We have warmer temperatures coming, including days hitting 70, but nothing in the 80s. Not only that, but if you take a look at your weather view, instead of looking at, I look at the weather, all the time if it's going to be raining, because I want to see where the rain is and how long it's going to take to pass so I can get back out on my bike. And, I don't avoid rain when I'm on a big trip, but I don't usually go out for a ride when it's raining. So here, if you put it on visible view here, which is basically satellite view looking down at the clouds, then you can see what your destination looks like as far as cloud cover. The radar views aren't going to tell you what the cloud cover looks like. So switch it to satellite or to visible, depending on what your weather. This is weather channel here, and you can see the whole north coast along Lake Erie is completely clear. So it's very warm. There's no clouds. It's a good time to go up to Lake Erie and get some pictures. So this is the first route that I mapped out. It would be 3 hours and 20 minutes from where I live to ride up there and ride back. Of course, I'm going to spend a couple hours up there, probably have some seafood while I'm up there, and come back. So it's, I think I left like maybe 2 in the afternoon to get up there to get some sunset pictures and some lake pictures. This is a zoomed in view of this general area. This is in the Cedar Point area. If you're somewhere in the Midwest, you've probably been to Cedar Point. It's like a big amusement park with a zillion roller coasters. Kelly's Island is a pretty famous party island, kind of like Key West. Then you have some fishing islands that are further north. Catawba Island, which is an island I'm going to hit. And then you have Port Clinton on the left. And this is the Sandusky Bay, which is, if you're riding, I took, 71. If you take 71 or 77 to the turnpike and get off at 90 and then take it to 2, you're going to end up in this area. And when you go over the Sandusky Bay, you're going to be on a road that, almost looks like you're in the East Coast, like the Virginia Beach area. And, going over some really long bridges with water on both sides. So this isn't the open Lake Erie, but it's a big bay, Sandusky Bay, which is, Lake Erie. But that's the first time you get your real good whiff of the lake. Smells like an ocean, basically, if you haven't been to a Great Lake. It's fresh water, but, still smells like an ocean. Acts like an ocean. So here's an area that I noticed in Port Clinton where you can park really, really close to the lake. So I found this just by looking at satellite views, and I knew I wanted to go to Catawba Island for sunset pictures. So I just chose this as a place where I wanted to take a couple of bike portraits, and you can see the bike in the middle there. Now I've posted pictures of my bike, and then on the next page I post pictures of things going on in the photograph. So first of all, if I want to send these pictures to Asian ladies, and I tell them this lake is so huge, it's not very convincing, this photo, because there's land, and it looks like only several miles back, and that's the the Bass Islands on the left and Catawba Island on the right. So that's not ideal to try to explain to somebody how big Lake Erie is, because these islands are pretty close to the shore, relatively close. They're a hell of a lot closer than Canada. But one thing you want to notice here, if you've done some practicing ahead of time, is get between like 8 feet from your bike and maybe 12 feet if you're using a smartphone, and then use your flash to fill, because even in this picture where the sun is to the left, you can tell by the shadow in the back of the bike that the sun is a little bit lower, kind of behind you a little bit, but all the way to the left, so west and south. And if you didn't have a fill flash on, you wouldn't have any detail on your bike, because the water here is so bright, it's almost like the sun out there. So that's why, just if you're going to get some portraits of your bike up on Lake Erie, just turn the flash on and leave it on for the whole trip. There won't be any time when you don't need to flash. And watch the reflections. You can see a sun reflection coming off of a casing on the left side, and you can see the reflector on some bag hardware, the bag clasp. And just keep an eye on things. Make sure you don't get too much reflection back. The things you want to watch out for on a bike is reflectors and the license plate in the rear. So if you're taking a picture of a license plate, make sure you're off center a little bit, because if you're just a few degrees off of 90 degrees, your license plate's gonna ruin your shot. You've probably done that by accident before, taking pictures of cars. You get the plate in there, then it looks like a big bright thing, and the rest of the photo is black. So here's another picture of the bike, and here's some more things going on. And I got a little inset here of a photo that went wrong, where just changing your position by 6 inches left or right, or raising up and down, will get rid of a big glare like that's coming off of an engine case. So the bike was pretty clean when I left. I collected some bugs on the way up there and got a little dirty, but the bike's still basically clean, and your cases can really put a big reflection. A lot of places on your bike can ruin a shot. So just be aware of that while you're taking pictures. Look at them, check them out, as you take them, and then you can crop them later. I wanted, this one I got the Jet Express on the left leaving. The Jet Express is something that Northeast Ohio people might know. It's a really fast boat. It's like, I think it's like got a catamaran hull and jet, and you can take it from downtown Cleveland to Kelly's Island and get there in I don't know, like 35-40 minutes or something like that. It takes an hour and a half to drive there. We can't drive to the island to take a ferry there, but it takes you an hour and a half just to get in this general area. But the Jet Express goes pretty quick. Here's Catawba Island. In the general area of Catawba Island, you can see a boat ramp here. Now, if you're going to go up, I made the mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake, because I stayed on my feet. I stayed upright. But if you're riding up this East Morse Dock Road, which is what you would take from 163, you ride along this road and you've got Lake Erie on your left the whole way, which, it's nice looking at the lake, but there's also, the speed limit on this road is 45 miles an hour. And there's no posted speed limits for going around curves. They'll just have some big arrows, like a series of 3 arrows saying turn to the right. You don't really know how fast to go. You're not familiar with the road. When you see those arrows, slow down to like 30 and then decide how fast you want to go. That way, if you need to go slower, you don't have too much braking to do or downshifting. But if you're riding up this road and you want to get on this boat ramp, that's a really, really sharp turn going from East Moores to the boat ramp. As a matter of fact, when you're leaving the boat ramp, you're not allowed to turn right there. That's how sharp the turn is. So not only is it a really sharp turn, the road that goes down to the ramp really falls down. It's a steep hill. So I went up, the road, and I stopped with my turn signal on, and I negotiated down that real steep turn. But if I were you, I wouldn't do that because the road is wet. It's a really steep hill and it's a really tight turn, and I had to touch my feet down a few times, making the turn, because it's just there's also some sand on that road too. So be careful. You should go up to the parking lot and turn around and then come down straight. It's just a lot easier to do that. Of course, I didn't know that, but I did that when I left. I went straight. You're not allowed to turn right, but I went straight up to the parking lot and came down the other entrance on the other side of the other exit on the other side of the parking lot. So anyways, there's some good opportunities here to take a picture. And here's one picture. Now this is not exactly ideal. First of all, the sun was a big red rubber ball on this night, and instead of just going all the way down the horizon, it just kind of disappeared like 10 degrees off the horizon, which I've had happen before on vacations, and even in the Virgin Islands and the West Coast. Sometimes big red rubber balls don't make it all the way down to the water. So on this one here, I took some pictures with the bright sun, bright red ball, and really I couldn't get the flash to overpower the sun. It was really just hard getting a real good shot. Then all of a sudden the sun disappeared, and then you have these signs here, area closed, and you have some barriers set up. But still, it made a pretty good shot, and it would have been nice to not have the barrier sign there and the closed sign. But it's still this is a better picture than any picture I had on my bike before. And again, some things to look for, make sure you don't have any sun shining off of something, and make sure that your reflectors aren't giving you a hard time. Just take a look at your pictures after. Now this is about 9 feet away, so you're getting toward the limit of a flash on a smartphone if you have only one flash. And flash is good enough to light up the dark areas of your bike, so you can see details on your engine and cases and stuff like that. But it's not going to interfere with the shot, and you still get a nice sun, nice color in the sky. Here's another shot where you can, if you move around a little bit, sometimes you can use your bike to hide the sign, so you might want to try doing something like that. This is, again, this is probably, more than 12 feet away, slightly more. But the flash still hit the side of the bike, and, because the left side of the bike was dark, since the sun is already setting, it has already set. And here's another shot a little closer up on the bike. This, if you get like 8 feet away, you're going to light up your bike and give you a lot of opportunity to play around with contrast and do some nice things, to alter the photo after you're done taking it. And I got the flag in on this picture. The reason the flag is at half mast is because of the Supreme Court Justice that just died. And here's some more stuff. You see the reflector on the bag is just slightly lit up, and the cases aren't shining back at you, so pretty good portrait of the bike. Then the next day, on Saturday, I just rode around locally. I didn't go up to the lake, and I also had to do some yard work. But Sunday, is another, it's supposed to be 81 degrees, September 27th. So this time I decided, well, instead of going to the east side of Cleveland and going way out to, some of the suburbs all the way up to maybe Painesville or Menor or something like that, I decided to go downtown Cleveland. So you just ride up 77 and you You just take 77 right into Cleveland. You take the East 9th exit. The directions here, the Google Maps was trying to take me, downtown a different way, but this pier that I'm going to, the Cleveland Pier, is 9th Street. It's just the extension of 9th Street. So take East 9th Street, go by the Indian Stadium, and then just ride up 9th Street all the way to the end. If you hit water, you went too far. So that's just 9th Street all the way up. So here shows you a little inset picture of the bike, and it's at a traffic circle, and that little traffic circle is way at the end of the pier there. So I'm going to try to get through these photos pretty quick here. Now this, if you notice, if you look out in the lake, you see the boat there. It's just a lot brighter than what it looks like in this picture. It's very, very bright looking out. You need sunglasses to even just, be looking out on the lake because of the brightness. Even though the sun is to your left, it's setting in the west, the lake is still very, very bright. If you're going to take a picture with the lake in the background, definitely need to flash. Like I said, turn the flash on, leave it on. So you've got some really nice, contrast here in the bike. It lit up the side of the bike really well. And no problems with reflectors or anything like that. And you can pause the screen and look at some of this stuff, but this is 8 feet away. Every time you see the bike and it takes up almost all the frame, it's like 8 feet away. I don't usually get any closer than that to the bike. And so basically with a cell phone, you're taking pictures at 8, 10, or 12 feet away. Here, this is the same circle, but the bike's on the inside of the circle now, about in the middle, and a straight shot down 9th Street, which is crazy. I mean, that goes on forever. That goes, on 9th Street goes all the way down to the, southern extremes of the city limits. And this is a good shot of the skyline, Cleveland. You see the Rock Hall. The Rock Hall is not real recognizable from this view, but that's the Rock Hall. And again, this is 12 feet away, so you're kind of at the limit of the flash. The sun is on the right here, and you can see the reflector is lit up all the way, but it's not, it's not close enough to where the reflector is reflecting back really strong. So, I mean, the reflector here looks like it's a little light, but it's actually dark red. And, the flash hit it and lit it up, but it didn't interfere with the shot. So that's, really what you want is to be working like from 8 to 10 feet away. And, if you got closer than that and went wide angle, then the flash would interfere. And if you get further away and zoom in to get the same picture, the flash wouldn't go far enough. So, basically, this is a 12-foot away shot, and I cropped this in different ways to get the buildings at different heights. And, I stood up and, etc. By the way, this whole parking lot here, I only saw 2 cops the whole time I was there. They're both on motorcycles, and they came up around this circle while I was there, and then they went off to the right, and they're just riding back and forth in the parking lot between these, low concrete parking barriers. I think they're just showing off a little bit. They're really doing some zigzags back and forth, and then they left. Now this is the western part of the parking lot, but it's still at the Cleveland Pier, just a little bit to the west of where we were. And this is where I set up for some sunset pictures. Now here you get a little bit of glare coming off of the sun, and the only thing you can do with that is play with the picture and alter it, and add some contrast and see if you can get rid of some of that stuff. So this is the sun's not that low in the sky yet. It's still kind of high, and it's really, really bright. You can see it's casting some pretty strong shadows in the front wheel. So it's hard to eliminate all the glare you're going to get from this kind of a view, but this is a pretty decent shot. There's nobody in the background here, which is a good thing about this picture. But it's, again, this is just one of the first pictures I took, and it's one of the best bike portraits that I have. And here you can see the reflector lit up a little bit. You got really good lighting on the bike. If you didn't have the fill flash, your bike would just look like a big shadow in the front. So, and then the lighting direction naturally is right toward you, and this is 10 feet away. Here's close up. This might be closer than 8 feet, maybe 7 feet. And here the sun is going a little bit lower. It's not interfering with, it's not washing over onto the fairing. The fairing looks really nice. And a little bit of light from the reflector. And I say this is 8 feet. It's probably, 7 feet. Either that or I cropped it. Really good fill. You can see details in the engine in the black. It just looks really good. It's a nice portrait. Then I took like 120 shots, but as I was leaving, I went to the other side of the rock hall, and just hung a right at the first street as you come down 9th Street, and the sun's already set. It's going to get really dark pretty soon. I should have actually stayed up there for another hour and wait till it really turned dark, because the rock hall illuminates pretty nice, and it's that long live rock sign is lit up in red, and just looks pretty cool. You see Brown Stadium a little bit on the left there. And I played around with this. It's kind of hard. I could have put my bike up on the walk there. There's even the curb disappears there, so it'd be easy to ride up there and then walk your bike back a little bit. But it's still kind of hard to get the whole building and your bike and the long live rock sign all in at the same time. And this is maybe at least 12 feet away. So you're in I still have the flash on, but it didn't affect the license plate because I'm off at an angle so much. But first of all, you're at your flash's limit, so you're not going to get blinded by the license plate, and you're way off to the side. And just some other things to point out here. What I did actually, I say here that the bike was lighted with a combination of a weak fill flash at the limit of the flash, because I'm probably like 12 or 13 feet away here, which is the limit of the flash. You can tell the flash is on by looking at the red in the reflector. It's caught that back part of the reflector here. And then auto exposure compensation. So what I did here was that you hold the camera up and your bike's too dark, so you touch the screen where your saddlebag is, a dark area, and then it lightens up the bag, but it makes everything else too light, and the sky is all washed out. So when on my camera, I think most Android cameras, if you touch the screen where the bag is, then you get a slide bar up on the top, and you can slide that back and forth and darken it after you've made it light. So it's just the illumination of the left side of the motorcycle here is due to flash, and a little bit to maneuvering a little bit with that slide bar and getting exposure compensation. So it's I said auto exposure compensation. It's auto because it'll go to whatever you touch on the screen automatically. But it's also, you can slide back and forth and turn the sky, get some color in the sky again. So that's what I did here. You might want to experiment with that, but if not, there's really nothing to it when you're taking a picture like this. It's actually a little darker than it appears in the picture right here, but I wanted it light so I could see the left side of my bike, and I wanted some color in the sky. So if you just play with that little slide bar and the exposure, you can end up with a really good picture. Now, I just added these at the end here. I decided to make a collage to put on my smartphone. I usually have the, Chinese girl of the week or something there. But I wanted, to put bike photos here. So I used PowerPoint. And the reason that PowerPoint is really so good to use, I just discovered this. I use PowerPoint for a lot of things like making this video. But if you want to make a collage for your phone, there's collage applications that are on your phone. You can download a collage application, but none of them are going to be like this flexible. What you want to do in PowerPoint is just click on Design on the upper left, and then way on the right you'll see Slide Size. Now I usually do a 16:9 format, but I'll make the slide size some multiple of that, so it's a really big slide. And it takes up a lot of room on your hard drive, but that doesn't matter much. You can put really big pictures on it without degrading the picture. So that's the idea here, is to get as big a picture as you can, and that way when you shrink it and put it on the cell phone, it looks good. It looks really sharp. So what I did was I measured the screen on my cell phone, and I multiplied that by 4. And I made this screen that wide. So it says width 11 inches, height 20.5 inches. Now those aren't the exact things that I put in, but when I got back into the screen, that's what PowerPoint made it because it was 10.8 something. But anyways, you make this, if you make the slides in your slideshow the same ratio as your smartphone screen, then it gives you an opportunity to play around dragging pictures in. So I'll show you that in a second here. So that's what you start with, is you measure your cell phone size, change the size of your PowerPoint screen to be that ratio, and then play around with screens. So then you have a work area in your PowerPoint presentation, but the screen's shaped a little different than normal. Usually, I use PowerPoint professionally to show people how to do things. And I use it, to show how I work on my Harley sometimes too. But, if this work area is now just a little bit, it's a different shape because it's the shape of your cell phone. So you can, like slide 1, you can just drag in 3 photos and, move those back around just by grabbing them and moving them up and down. Then you can say, okay, well, I like that a little bit. Let me copy that and make the next slide. So slide 2 might be the same thing, but you change one picture out. And then slide 3, slide 4, you can have as many variations of this as you want. And you're going to get, something that's formatted for your phone. And you can easily save this presentation, save the presentation so you have it, and then save it as a JPEG, and then say every slide. And it'll save every slide as slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, and you can move those to your smartphone and put them in a directory. I think I call my directory Harley Portraits, and that's now I chose one for my background on my cell phone, and I can change that anytime I want really easily. So I think this is more flexible than most collage applications that I've seen. So that's all I have. This is, I'm running at 42 minutes now. Appreciate your time. Like I said, if you want to stop on any of these slides and read and study, what you would do, and also if you, hopefully for the next trip, we're going to hit the 70s again this year. And I'm going to try to get some people together from the Harley, Ohio group, see if there's some Akron area people that want to ride up to Cleveland and take some bike portraits. But look at this first, so you don't have to experiment once you get up there. Because if you have like 10 people together that want to make portraits, you're gonna have to move a bike in, move it out, move it in, move it out. Get some really good locations. It could be that you find a site where there's like 5 really good places to put your bike. But it could be that like at the end of the traffic circle, that little circle, there's one ideal spot. So put your bike in there, take a bunch of pictures, make sure the flash is on, make sure you're not getting feedback from your reflectors or your license plate, and move your bike out when you're done taking 6 or 8 shots, and let the next guy move his bike in. So I put this presentation together just so you would be prepared before you go up there, and hopefully I'll get some feedback on some of those beaches on the east side of Cleveland. I've never been to them before. I've been a lot of places in the world. I've been to 55 countries. I haven't been to any beaches along Lake Erie before last weekend. So I appreciate your time.